on the spandex and
Right.
oh, please, just please.
Just give
or show your grandkids doing a number, the Sandy and Danny grandkid. No, just please don't do that.
Get them together for a photo shoot. That's about enough.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I like that.
Yeah. I just couldn't deal with it. This was interesting, guys. There's a survey on a website, and it's the GMFA, and I'm sorry, I can't remember it's the Gay Men's something website, but it's a survey that you can take to assess your risk level for your sex life. And I thought it was kind of a Great Northern Sex Cast PSA sort of thing. It's anonymous, and it's got a lot of really good information, and the intentions are great, but it's for basically it's set up for gay people, but you can take it no matter what. And it's pretty interesting. So we're going to post that. I just wanted to mention that it would be there. And I thought it was pretty cool that they went to all this time, and they've got all these volunteers and people that are willing to, offer counseling and all sorts of cool stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, a lot more resources than there used to be. All right, for the absolute creepy story of the day.
Okay.
Well, and it may or may not be because, innocent until proven guilty.
I'm still honestly, I understand the concept of panda form, but it is sort of creeping me out that people will dress up as panda.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is it
How is this
creepier
different from
than
ponies?
that robot?
Pony play?
True.
What? I mean, but I mean, we do sell, online the multicolored ponytails.
We actually have them. We got unicorns in stores.
Do we get the rainbow one in?
No, they are blue or hot pink.
Okay.
I think. Yes, the rainbow is really expensive, but yeah, if you want to be a unicorn panda, we've got a butt plug with a tail at all our stores. So
instead of a
feel
cute
free.
little nubby tail,
Right? Exactly.
Nubby. So remember when we talk about things that used to be acceptable or didn't think, and now they're a thing? Like there used to be, society didn't accept the idea of a grown female, quote unquote, statutory raping an underage male, which now we know is absolutely possible. And these people get in trouble for these things now. So there's a teacher who has been arrested. She's married she's facing felony charges after being accused of having sex with a student. And this is in Texas. It's near Austin, actually. So this picture of this girl, she looks barely old enough to have a teaching credential, but she's beaming. I mean, every single picture of her looks like a glamour shot. And she's just like smiling.
And these are like her mugshots?
Yeah.
I suppose it's the Instagram generation and the selfie generation. Everything is a...
Right, even your mugshot gets like duck lips.
Yeah.
You can't see. I'm doing it really well
I'm
right
like,
now.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just confused. No, I'm really glad. I mean, double standards are double standards, and haul her ass off to jail because it is inappropriate.
Well, again, she has not been proven guilty yet, but her defense lawyer, because this has made such a stir, because everybody found the picture so shocking, her defense lawyer has taken some television interviews, and he said, look, here's the reason. She knows she's innocent. And he said, you've got a young lady who was arrested on the statement of a 17-year-old kid with no corroborating evidence. And he says, this isn't a guilty person sitting there like they just got caught. When everything's fleshed out, it won't be as it appears. So she's like saying, fuck you, I'm innocent. That's how he's spinning it.
Well, I guess, we got a he said, she said, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, it usually, it's hard, you got your reasonable doubt here. And if there's no evidence, just like if it was the other way around.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, but it might happen. Or it could be that, this kid's learning, hey, it works the other way too. People can be assholes. You don't know. One of them's an asshole.
Well,
you don't know which one.
False accusations are also, I do not think, and I mean, I will say, and look, anybody that takes advantage of a minor or, any kind of sexual assault or unwanted whatever should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But I hate the fact that false accusers never seem to get their due, because that is not cool. You are ruining somebody's life.
Yeah, right. I mean, in theory, they should be charged if it can be proven that the accusation was false.
Yeah.
Although I don't know that happens as much as
you do not hear, and you also. Honestly, I mean, it makes all these headlines to do all this. And when something is taken back, it never gets the same amount of press.
Right.
And I think, and I know that it's probably a free speech issue and all this sort of stuff, but there really should be a way that says that if you spout something, and we'd have to come back here and give it like, okay, we talked about it for 3 minutes. We have to talk about it for 3 minutes about how she didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really wouldn't have a problem with that. So, I mean, if you splash something on page, on the headline, and then then you take it back on page 9 on Friday.
So supposedly, like elections where all the candidates are supposed to get the equal airtime.
Yeah.
That worked out real well this year.
They got rid of the. I mean, that was years ago. I'm thinking of the rule that they got rid of, which means which is why you could have Fox and MSNBC now and all that sort of stuff. It used to have to have equal time, but then they squashed that. So that's why these other stations were allowed to arrive.
And and plus too, they're not calling themselves news. They're calling themselves, opinion shows. There was a whole big hoo-ha about that this week. Guess what? Americans are getting less sex.
Sex.
And the reason shocked the shit out of me. I'm going to tell you.
Let me guess.
Okay. Well, no.
Okay, no. Okay,
No.
I was pointing at my phone.
This is funny, you guys. I really I don't get surprised that much anymore. Okay, after 3 years of the show. And this is from Psychology Today. Okay, so this is not XYZ internet site out of India. Okay, clicked through 3 times and curated. No, this is Psychology Today saying that hey, we've got greater access to birth control, more accepting attitudes towards sexual behavior and gender roles, and technology that makes it easier to for us to hook up. But there is a decline in sexual activity since the late 90s. Millennials. Now, but it's not because they've got their faces in their phones. That's exactly what I thought until I got to the next line. Millennials are less sexually active than previous generations. And they said, well, they've got more sexual freedom, but they're less likely to be partnered or married than prior generations. They stay single longer, and they are not as automatically coupled as the previous generations and their attitudes towards it. And they are saying that is actually why.
So you get more drought in between your relationships, or in between that.
Isn't that funny?
I guess that makes sense though, because there isn't the idea that okay, you graduated high school, now maybe go to college, but meet a husband there.
Yeah.
Or after college, go get married.
Yeah, get married right away. That's what you need to do immediately. Start a family.
50 years ago, get married after high school.
Right, right.
Now, I'm sure that the median ages are 27 and 28 now, or 26 and 28. I mean,
I know they're going up and up.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it used to be I think women is 27 years old or something like that. And it used to be, much lower.
Yeah.
Going through there.
I mean, I remember my sister, I would like to state for the record that my sister is 16 years older than I am. My sister got married in 1975 and she was 24 and everybody was calling her old maid.
Right.
And she was 24 and her husband at the time was 28.
Right.
And I'm in 1975, that was considered late. Isn't that funny? I'm oh my God. And 41 years later, 42 almost, it'll be in September. They're still madly in love and they were a good match. And thank God.
I think there could be a little bit of negative to the idea that if you're in a culture where you can have basically whatever you want, whenever you want it, to your exact specifications, that I wonder how much that translates to relationships. Where if you're I have to get married immediately after high school, then you're oh, this guy seems really great. I guess we're in love. Okay, cool. Let's get married. That's what we have to do. But now when you're I don't have to get married, so I'm going to keep oh, you're not exactly everything that I wanted. You are not 100%.
So I'm going to spin again.
Right. Yeah. You're only a 3-star Yelp review and I need 5 for my check-in. So I wonder if there is a correlation there.
I actually, honestly, I would hope so. Because, sadly, a lot of times, I mean, there is a high divorce rate. And I think it's because people thought, well, I'm supposed to get married, right?
Right. As long as it's increasing your standards and not having unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. It's fun.
line.
Speaking of that, I had to go get a copy of my divorce decree at the courthouse yesterday because I'm refinancing one of my properties, and ironically, my ex-husband, who's a chiropractor, is treating me right now because I've got some neck issues going on, and we were laughing our asses off about certain things, and today, and it's just, he's remarried, and it's so funny, and it's like I'm just really glad, even though divorce sucks, and I wouldn't really wish it on anybody. I'm glad that we've become friends, but yeah. If you don't have to go through that, take your time because it stinks. And it's even if you recover from it, which you will eventually, hopefully. But yeah, it stinks. They did give a nod to social media and online porn and technology, but they don't think that's as big of a deal as the way society is viewing being partnered anymore.
Yeah, it's not the be all to, which is handy. So maybe some older folks can learn that it's okay to not be in a couple. Because if younger folks have learned that, I think that could save a lot of therapy. And it might be bad for therapists.
Right.
But it's okay to not be coupled up.
Yeah.
And it's going through that.
Yeah. As long as you're actually okay with
that's what I'm
it.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Some people aren't.
Yeah, some people aren't. But it's, you will survive.
We've got a link, speaking of that, we've got a link that we're just going to put up because it's too hard to go through. It's way too long of a presentation, but there's this thing that's posted to Reddit, and it's all manner of people that were in arranged marriages commenting. And the majority, I thought this was pretty interesting, said that they believe they're as happy as anyone else.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, because if you are amenable to an arranged marriage, you've got the mindset to make it work.
Yeah.
It's how it's, and then there's decades and generations of expectations that you already have and the other person already has, and you sort of know what's going to happen. I mean, you're not talking, yes, they may have never met, but their expectations are the same. I think, for the most part, I can see that, without a problem.
They had that show on was it
Married
TLC?
at First Sight?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched a season.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No,
it is.
Because these are folks that don't have that socialization. So I can't imagine why that would work.
They've had a few work,
Okay.
and it's really interesting because they have a team of people. They've got like a psychologist, a sociologist, a clergy person. I don't know what they call that. And then I think there's 4 of them, and they really do work across all these different channels of your personality to try to match you up value wise. But I do think in a couple of the cases, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, it was so obvious to me that these people did not like what, type of thing. But no, it's kind of an interesting show. I don't know how it's doing now, but I watched like the first season, and the one couple that everybody thought was going to be just like the best was the one that broke up that said, yeah, we want to be done. And the other 2 gave it a whirl. It was really interesting.
I find that fascinating because it's a legal contract. So to go into a legal contract for a television show.
Right.
I mean, and then to have to deal with that. I mean, 30 years later, you had a 6-week marriage that you have to get the paperwork for when you're trying to do something legally.
Yeah, and then it's like, so the show is paying for the divorce lawyers and all the fees involved in the paperwork, I'm hoping,
Yeah, I'm sure that was probably part of the deal, but they still had to go through it. I mean, it was for real. I mean, they made that, pretty clear. But, it's kind of interesting. I mean, if you're out looking for people, like watch an eHarmony commercial, there's a lot of people that are frustrated. They really do want to find that life partner. I don't think it's really all that crazy. Even I wouldn't trust somebody to match me.
No, I'd rather. I mean, honestly, I would. Trust. The folks that have that arranged marriage. I mean, they've got family members who know you.
Yeah, yeah.
Not strangers here. I don't care. Plunking in all these sort of things. What you say versus. I mean, even filling out your own personality thing. You can lie to yourself. And going through there.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at the questions and some of the stuff and you're like, well, they both fit. We'll pick the one that's more. Well, there's not one that's more. It's just like the MMP, the Minnesota personality test or whatever. It's all that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy enough to lie to yourself. Am I answering it how I actually am or how I want to be?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's another show on now called Married by My Parents. And it's a similar concept where the parents choose the match. And they do the same thing. They agree to go through, which is kind of to your point, Colleen. It makes maybe